The Wall Street protests we're seeing across the country are yet proof what Americans want: justice, and they want jobs, and they want them now. Tomorrow in the Senate, President Obama will finally get a vote on his jobs bill, forcing Republicans to go on the record against a plan that would create nearly 2 million jobs.
Any senator out there who's thinking about voting against this jobs bill needs to explain why they would oppose something that we know would improve our economic situation. If the Republicans in Congress think they have a better plan for creating jobs right now, they should prove it.
Prove it? Problem is they can't. We told you last week how even Republican economists admit GOP proposals would do little to create jobs. Here and now, instead, Republican leaders are recycling their tired old rhetoric about the stimulus.
So we don't think doubling down on failed stimulus policies, which have already proven to fail, is the right way to go. So we want to work with ideas that have proven to work. Temporary stimulus, sort of sugar high economics, are not what businesses are telling us they need to create jobs.
The 14 million Americans without jobs don't have time for this kind of nonsense from Paul Ryan. It's why we're marching in Washington this Saturday, to demand jobs and justice now. And joining me now is someone marching with us as a co-chair, a fighter for the middle class all of our life, Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, co-chair of the March for Jobs and Justice. Randy, thanks for joining me tonight.
It's great to be here, and it's great to be in New York. It's great to be at Occupy Wall Street this weekend, too. It's a moment here that's starting to amplify just how frustrated people are with the current economic situation.
Let me show you some live pictures from Chicago of what's going on as we speak. People are en masse for jobs in the Chicago area. They are demanding that this is the Occupation Wall Street Chicago live shot. And you know, Randy, let me show the people at home this graph of where the income has gone in this country since the recession. In from December 2007 to June of 2011, we've gone down 9.8% in this country in income.
Right. And
yet, when you hear the president raising the American Jobs Act, it would cut the deficit by $6 billion, but according to the CBO, and it would add jobs. So it should be a no-brainer that the Senate would pass this tomorrow.
It should. Look, what's happening right now is the president's job bill that he proposed a few weeks ago should be a no-brainer because it has very, very specific remedies, meaning get unemployed youth, of which 6 million teens have been trying to get work and can't, on summer work, other work, get them into employment. Get teachers, of which 300,000 have lost their jobs, put them back into work. The school districts have needed to hire 48,000 on top of the 300,000, couldn't because of budget cuts. Get them back to work. Build, rebuild, shovel-ready projects, including rehabbing 35,000 schools. Put firefighters back to work. Put police officers back to work. Put construction trades folk back to work. So it takes the lessons we learned from the stimulus bill as well as good practice everywhere and says, put people back to work. Do the kind of work we need to do immediately. But what we're seeing, Reverend, is that you see, and maybe it's just because I'm an old social studies teacher, I will emphasize the old. In the Gilded Age,
social studies, but
in the Gilded Age, we saw the same thing. The rich got richer, and everybody else didn't.
Right.
And it spawned a populist movement, and that's what we're seeing in terms of Occupy Wall Street. That's what Wisconsin was about. That's what the protests all for the last 6 months have been about. It is about trying to create fairness. Nobody wants a handout. Kids want to go to work and pay their student loans. People who have homes want to keep their homes and have the wealth in their homes. There's 11 to 14 million people that are out of work. They want to be in work. Right. So what's happening is this is a regular movement of people saying, let's create some fairness here.
And I think that's why Saturday's march is timely, because the Senate will have gone through their vote on tomorrow night. But then we've got the House, and we've got to really put pressure. This is the first time we're having an en masse move during this jobs bill fight.
Right.
So the timing of this, even though it was postponed from August, couldn't have been better.
Exactly.
Because we're right in the middle of putting the pressure on the legislators
in Washington. And that is, as all these other and the kids are unbelievable. I cannot believe the Republicans are saying this about kids.
Yeah.
They are so incredibly nonviolent and respectful. You have to spend a minute down in Zuccotti Park and you'd see that. But the demonization of kids who've done everything we've asked them to do, go to college, pay their student loans, and they can't get work. But you're right. We're taking this march to Washington because that's where we have to put the pressure on. These are not radical ideas. These are ideas we need to do to put people back to work and to keep people working. That's what America is about. People who want to make sure that this generation gets what past generations have gotten.
No question about it, and I think we've got to put the pressure where the pressure is needed.
Exactly right.
And as I've said, they're laying off firefighters, police, teachers. We're not talking about radicals here. We're talking about the backbone of our country.
And what they do is, the moment you start talking about budget issues, I've been in schools since the beginning of September, the end of August. Right. There are budget cuts throughout the schools. And when teachers start talking about how we can't teach a class size of 50, which is what I've heard reported in Dallas. When you see these thousands of teachers laid off, the first response is, well, you're not doing your job. That's ridiculous. We want to actually help children. What I'm saying in schools, do you know teachers these days spend an average of $25 a month feeding kids because poverty has increased? Separate and literally.
Yes.
Food kitchens in schools. We've seen poverty go up every single one of these bats. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. They should be sorry. But we're going to do something about it. Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, thank you, and see you Saturday. And if you care about jobs and justice, then please join us for a march in Washington this Saturday, October 15th. We're marching from Lincoln Memorial to the new memorial for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. It's time your voice was heard.